So hi guys, this is my new studio in Los Angeles inside the Fab Factory complex, and I really love it. And I want to show you some of the hardware synthesizer and outboard gear that I have in my studio. And I would start with this big, like 60 unit Euro modular synthesizer that I built myself, like buying slowly every single piece of every single module. So we have like a lot of oscillators, a lot of like LFOs and ADSRs and VCAs, and it's the coolest piece of gear sometimes, for create like particular or specific sounds like kick drums or snares or lead sounds that will never be possible to create into a virtual synthesizer or some kind of pre-made hardware synthesizer. We have a wonderful Macbeth 5U. Basically, Ken Macbeth is a gear manufacturer in Scotland that recreates some of the old 5-unit Moog synthesizers, and that's like a simple design, like 3 oscillators, VCAs, ADSR, and it really sounds big and fat. And then on the right side, I have a custom-made 11-unit boat system made by Don Buchla himself in 2011. What can we say? It's crazy because it packs a lot of synthesizer in this small package. So this is like a 18-unit boat system by Buchla, and I love it because in a small package it packs a lot of features. So we have a sequencer, we have 3 oscillators, we have as he calls like a kinesthetic input port, which is basically a keyboard where you can input your notes or maybe input your CVs, your control voltages or your gates, and then you have a filter, you have a phaser, and you have VCAs here, and it's still quadraphonic like his very first designs in the 60s. So you have like the front stereo image and the back stereo image here. Then I have like a System 15 recreation from Moog. So they came out like last year into reissuing the old 15, 35, and 55 systems. And a cool synthesizer.com sequencer that really, fits together perfectly with the System 15, and easily you can step sequence and do whatever you want connected to the System 15. And then weirdly enough, an Italian builder called Grp Synthesizer, that they are building this kind of semi-modular synthesizer inspired by the Moogs. But it's pretty cool because, as you can see, you have a sequencer in the lower part, and you still have 3 oscillators, you still have double filters there. But the cool thing is you don't need to patch anything because it's already pre-normalized on the typical path. So with switching some knobs, you can easily route oscillators into different filters, into different VCAs without patching anything, which is a great commodity for me. We have original Mini Moog down here. Vintage vibe, I don't know if you can see that, but vintage vibe recreation of the Rhodes piano here. These guys are based in New Jersey. They do a lot of incredible stuff. They do both the recreation of the Rhodes and the recreation of the clavinet. And actually Stevie Wonder is touring with both of these in the last tour. And pretty normal stuff, a Korg Kronos here. Reissue, Tom Haberheim reissued the 2-voice synthesizer lately, and this is it, 2-voice plus the sequencer. And we have some more guitar stuff there, pedal boards, and then all my bass and guitars hang on the wall. Guys, moving into my main desk, I have the new beat machine from Dave Smith and Pioneer, which is called the Therese. It's pretty in its initial stages because they still have to update some of the functions, but it's really promising because you have both a touch screen and you have your usual your usual pads for programming the rhythm, but you still have the TR sequencer down. So basically, to me, it's best of both worlds. You can have like programming, recording live, but at the same time you can input, the steps here. So it's pretty cool, and it's connected to the Pro Tools system, so everything is synchronized. Then I have this small Avid dock with my iPad in. So pretty cool way of like automating and using a fader, but at the same time using automatic plugins. They're gonna go, all the plugins parameter, they're gonna go automatically in these knobs to automate. Then a machine studio from Native Instruments to one more bit machine here, and then a pretty cool synthesizer. These guys, they're from Belgium, and they are proud to be digital, they say. So it's a digital synthesizer, reminding in some way like the Virus synthesizer from Access Music, but it's made like in 2016. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty rad, raw sound, digital, a lot of waveforms to select from, and powerful filters. Then I have like from the same guys from Access, Access Music, they did the Kemper Profiler. So it's like a guitar amp profiler and simulator. Pretty handy to have in your rack here. Then a Apollo 8 and a Bryston amp that's powering one of the two of these wonderful Reftone speakers that Dave suggested me to use, and they're pretty great to check the vocal levels or the balance of the mid frequencies in your mix. Okay, now we moved to my speakers. I'm using the Amphion 218 together with a Bass 125 sub and the newest Duo 8 by Augsburgers plus the sub 12. Moving to my outboard gear here, I have like a pretty cool weird looking audioscope, which is basically an audio like analyzer from Italy, from a company in Rome called Audioscope. And then the Comp One from Brock Ruppel, great compressor, great distortion device. It has a cool option to starve your valves and make it sound like crazy distorted for rock records. Then the Silver Bullet from Louder Than Liftoff, basically two different transformers inside and two pre's to color your sound, to color your synths, whatever. I use it for synths normally. Then the magical Vertigo VSC2 German compressor, SSL kind of compressor, but more euphonic to me. I use it on the master, on the drums. And then the Thermionics Culture Vulture, the limited edition, which is cooler than the normal one because it has like 13 different kind of distortion. And actually some distortion can be tuned to particular frequencies. So to like distort like selected ranges of frequencies, which is cool. Then the Listen Grove AR1, some kind of remake or clone of the AR124, and then the Retro 176. Everyone knows this, pretty cool on vocals or acoustic guitars, on a lot of stuff. Converter wise, I'm using for my tubas, I'm using the Antelope Eclipse, and together with the newest atomic clock, so the 10MX. And the atomic clock is also clocking all my HDIOs from Avid. These are two cool devices. Up here, the retro OP6, the recreation of the old RCA preamplifier from the 60s, a small Heritage 1073 in API 500 format. Manley McMade, pretty cool. I have a vocal booth on the other side of the room where I connected like 4 different microphones, and then I have my 4 bass pre here, and I basically can patch bay all the, and I can do all the combination, between all my microphone and all my pre's and save the presets. And I can also assign a different output level from the microphone to the pre, so to be able to compare more, like equally all the different combinations. An API 500 with a lot of stuff, some stuff from Germany, the Roger Schulz passive equalizers, Shadow Hills, the Sunset Sound, recreation of the Tutti, preamplifier. Heritage 1073's Junior, smaller version of that one. A recreation from this guy called Tridon Audio from, I think, Germany, of the Telefunken preamplifier. And super old 5553 equalizer, one of the only few API equalizer with fixed frequencies and induction it's an inductor EQ, so it sounds almost like a Pultec, even if it's an API. And then the newest Mercury 7 reverb from Maris, which is pretty cool. I'm basically using these three hooked up together like a channel strip. So sometimes I plug in like an acoustic guitar or an electric guitar, and I use this as a pre, this is an equalizer, this is a reverb, like, or a synth sometimes, you know, for the synth. Then the Shadow Hills mastering compressor, the Class A version, the limited edition one, which, you know, it should sound better, but to me sounds exactly the same as the other one. Bass Audio DBC compressor, some kind of, you know, it's a diode compressor, in some inspired to the 2254, even if it's much more cleaner, you know, and you can use it on the tubas. Then the Overstayer instrument driver and distortion, the small version, the Heritage 1080. Basically, this is pretty cool. This is my go-to channel strip. It's from Heritage. It's like a Neve 1073 pre-clone with a 1081 equalizer. So it calls them 8173. So you have, depending on what you like, you know, the best of both worlds. You have the 1073 pre, and so the Class A pre, and the 1081 equalizer, which is much more complete. And then his recreation of the 2264 here. So it's one channel strip for me that I use a lot of times on vocals. Then the AT101 from Analog Tube, their recreation of the Fairchild, pretty cool. I love it. I use it on all my recordings and sometimes on the mixes. Liaison from Dangerous, I actually use this in a particular way. So this is my channel strip. So it's my basically input channel. So I can when I insert in the path the insert number 1, it's basically me inserting the preamplifiers in the chain, and then everything else is compressors or equalizers. So, and then it comes back to my mastering converter. So when I'm recording something, I'm able to go through all the typical, you know, big output stuff, even when I'm recording, not only when I'm mixing. La Chapelle preamplifier, stereo preamplifier, pretty cool, pretty unique piece, not for your everyday recording. It's pretty great. The DI is pretty great on bass. It's the preamplifier is pretty great on female vocals. You know, it makes a screechy female vocal sound like fatter, but it's not for like every single thing in the world. An old Line 6 delay Eco Farm. What was it called? Eco, I don't even remember the name. It was like Eco Farm or Eco Pro. And then a Behringer piece of gear, X32. I use this to basically sum all my vintage keyboards connected to on the other side of the wall, and lastly a Vermona Spring Reverb DSR3, which I use sometimes on acoustic guitars or just for an effect. It's a pretty cool piece of gear. And the last piece of gear, which is the most incredible one, is this desk from Argosy, which can go from the lower sitting position to basically a standing position to work. Like, look, standing up.
Damn, that's so cool.
And you can stand up and play your synthesizer, or just, you know, avoiding the back pain that normally at around 4 p.m. it started to become the real problem of recording and mixing, you know. Thanks guys, thanks for watching, and see you soon.